Okay, so Super. This is like a movie I wanted to watch it ever since I watched Kick-Ass. Like Kick-Ass is one of my favorite movies of all time, and Super is basically, it's very similar to Kick-Ass. It has the same story to it basically. Well, the whole superhero part, like that's the same. And yeah, like after I watched Kick-Ass, like I heard about Super through Kick-Ass because a lot of people like compared the two together. So I've been wanting to watch this ever since. And it's a movie which I wanted to love. Like I really wanted to like this movie, and I did like it. Not as much as I wanted to though. It's kind of like I Saw the Devil. I really wanted to love that movie and like have that movie be one of my favorite movies of all time. But it was great, but it wasn't one of my favorite movies. But it was still good. So as for Super, for those of you who don't know the story, it's pretty basic. Some guy. His wife runs off with a drug dealer, and understandably the guy is pissed, and then he decides to become a superhero, to rid the streets of crime, and eventually he tries to get his wife back from the drug dealer, and of course he makes a costume and stuff. So yeah, it's basically about a guy who becomes a superhero, and there you go. It's the same as Kick-Ass, and yeah, so that's the story of it. Very comparable to Kick-Ass. Like I know a lot of people are gonna be like, some people, like when two films are really similar, there's always like a few people who are like, oh, they're nothing alike. It's just no, these two movies are very similar, Kick-Ass and Super. Or at least the basic story is pretty much the same. But I'm not gonna knock the movie for that. Like the idea of someone becoming a superhero, it's just a thing in the movie world. It's just a thing which is just, it's just common in movies. Like, it's like Spider-Man, a guy becomes a superhero. Except Peter Parker actually had superpowers. I'm going off topic here, but basically, of course, what did I think of the movie? So, like I said before, I wanted to love it, but I didn't. I wouldn't say it's great, I would say it's good. Like, Kick-Ass is far superior, but this is still good. This is like more of a realistic take on the superhero thing. Like with Kick-Ass, it started off kind of realistic, but afterwards, like when Hit Girl and Big Daddy are introduced, that's when it kind of goes into like a fantasy, its own like, that's when the movie kind of goes from the real world to like, an over the top, well, unrealistic world, I guess. Because, they have stuff like jetpacks, Hit Girl can run down the hallway with like 50 bad guys, kill them all and not get shot once. You got stuff like that happening. Whereas this movie, Super, kind of keeps realistic pretty much all the way through it. I guess the last act, where you get, like, there's like a gunfight in the last act, that's where it's kind of not realistic, I guess. But, aside from that, it's basically, this movie is basically a more realistic take on this superhero thing. Okay, so it's, yeah, this was a lot funnier than Kick-Ass, I'll say that. Like, it has a dark, twisted sense of humour. One great bit was when, like, for example, the guy stops, after he becomes a superhero, he stops and thinks about it, and he's kind of like, okay, so I need a weapon. Batman's got the batarangs and his fists, I guess. All the superheroes have weapons, obviously, or fit, But this guy, he basically decides to use a wrench, and yeah, that in itself is kind of funny. The fact that he's going around bashing people's heads in with a wrench, and of course you got that really great bit when a guy cuts in front of him when he's waiting to go into the cinema or theatre, whatever you call it. And so he's waiting in line to see a movie, a guy cuts in front of him, so he just bashes his head in with a wrench and runs off. I thought that was great. Ellen Page's character was great in this as well. She was really good in this. She's just like really over the top, like she's really sick and demented. She loves the violence and stuff. So whenever someone gets killed, she's just like hopping around like a kid, like screaming in excitement and stuff. Like there's a great bit when a guy I really liked her reaction to when the guy got hit by a car. There's one guy, one of the henchmen of the drug dealer, they get killed by a car. The hero, like, or she, I think she drove the car, I can't remember, but they basically drive a car into him and he gets pinned against the wall and he's kind of alive, I think he was. But like, he's screaming in agony because he's basically being cut in half. And like, she's kind of hopping up and down outside the car, like pointing at him, like, laughing and screaming and stuff. Like, it's uncomfortable to watch, but it's really funny because of how ridiculous and over the top it is at the same time. So Ellen Page was great in this movie. It's really funny. Just her reaction to all of the bloodshed and violence and stuff. That was great. One thing about the movie, isn't necessarily a bad point. It's just kind of weird. Like I felt the same thing about the Let the Right One In remake. It just felt a bit dry at some points. The movie just felt dry, and I'm not quite sure. Like I'm not sure if it felt awkward or I'm not sure what I thought of it. But at some points the movie just felt really dry, and I was kind of sitting there like, I don't know. It's just kind of like some parts of the movie. They just I don't know what to say. They just felt dry. Not necessarily a bad thing. It just felt a bit weird, maybe a little bit awkward. I'm not sure if it's because of the lack of music, because a lot of the times it didn't have any music at all. I'm not sure if it's because of the lack of music or something. But yeah, some parts of the movie, it just felt really dry. I don't know, it just felt a bit weird. Okay, so this is something which is kind of, I guess it's going to be like a cliche in movies where like a normal guy decides to become a superhero. Like in Kick-Ass, like, you know, it's just like the first few nights, I'm not a fan of this. Like if there's ever like another movie, which no doubt there will be, where a normal guy decides to become a superhero, it's almost like a joke. Like they always try to play off the joke. In the first few nights where the person becomes a superhero, they're kind of just waiting around. Like Kick-Ass didn't really do this. I mean, he walked around town asking, have you seen this cat? Which is, I guess, is kind of like, I guess it is comparable to this. Basically, in this movie, the guy kind of waits around at night for the first few nights. He just like crouches in an alleyway waiting, and of course there's no crime happens. He just waits there the whole entire night, and of course the joke is that he's just waiting there, and he doesn't, you know, there's no crime to solve. He just waits in one spot, nothing happens, and that's basically the joke. And that happens for the first few nights. So like you have like 5 minutes of him just waiting there, nothing happening. Like, yeah, sure, it would be worth it if it was funny, but the thing is, I just don't find it funny because it's kind of really cliche, and it's what you expect. Like, this joke, it wasn't really used in Kick-Ass. I mean, he walked around asking, have you seen this cat? But this was kind of like the first time I had seen the joke. Like, even though I knew it was coming, it's like the first time I saw the joke, where, like, you know, he's going around doing a really petty crime where nothing's happening. Like, it's a really petty joke, like, it's, you know, it's like I knew what was coming when I watched Kick-Ass. I was like, man, it's kind of funny. Like, it's the first time I seen the joke. Like, I'm sure there's movies like Kick-Ass which were made before Kick-Ass. They probably used the joke as well. But in Kick-Ass, Kick-Ass is like the first movie I've seen where a normal guy decides to become a superhero. And just him doing this petty crime, it's like the first time I saw it, so I was like, it's okay. I don't mind it. But in this so this is like the second time I've seen it. You know what's coming. Again, I knew what was coming in Kick-Ass, but it was the first time I'd seen it. So I was like, it's okay. But this time with the joke, I just didn't care, and I was just waiting. I couldn't wait for those 5 minutes to be over. It's just a really lame joke, I think. I think it's just, you know, it's just really cliche in a superhero movie like this. So I just didn't really care for that joke. I wasn't a fan of it. Yeah, I really didn't like that part. And I think, yes, okay, so I pretty much gone through the movie rather quickly. That's pretty much all I have to say. Yeah, like him going around doing the crimes and stuff, they were entertaining. Like, they weren't as entertaining as I wanted them to be. Like, I don't understand why I didn't find them entertaining. I mean, a guy bashing people's heads in with a wrench, that's fun, right? Who wants to be a superhero. Like, that stuff is like, like, it should be entertaining to watch. I'm not sure if it's just the way they did it in the movie. I just didn't find it that fun. Yeah, this movie, it just wasn't as entertaining as I wanted it to be. But it was still good, you know. It's worth a watch, I'll say that. Now the ending. Don't worry, I'm not going to give spoilers. I'm going to talk about the ending. No spoilers, so don't worry. But basically, I like the ending. Basically, the ending's really unexpected. Basically, this movie kills some people in the ending. Like, some of the characters die in the ending. And it was really unexpected. I'll say that. I wasn't expecting the people who died to die, and also what happens to the surviving characters. I didn't see that coming. Like, this doesn't have your everyday ending. Basically, the ending is different, and I liked it. I did like the ending. You know, it was unexpected, and of course, I was like unexpected stuff like that, and it was done well. So the ending was great, and also this movie has some good. You know, if you like gore and blood and stuff, this movie has some good moments. Basically, I'm not sure if they used CGI. I can't remember. The special, if it was CGI, it was decent enough for me not to notice. So, you know, that's one thing in Kick-Ass, they use CGI blood, and I didn't like that. But in Super, the gore, like, oh yeah, Super is a lot darker than Kick-Ass as well. It's more realistic and it's a lot darker. You know, just like the violence and stuff, it is a lot more brutal than Kick-Ass, and I like that as well. I did like that. And yeah, that's everything I have to say about Super. So I didn't like it as much as I wanted to, but it was still great. It was funnier than Kick-Ass, darker than Kick-Ass, but it just wasn't as entertaining as Kick-Ass. So Kick-Ass was better. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Two movies are similar. I'm going to compare them anyway. So I've got to mention Kick-Ass and compare. Kick-Ass was better. But Super, I wanted to like it more than I did. It was still good though. It's worth a watch, I'll say that. And that's all I have to say really, so thanks for watching. See ya.